Shabbat Shalom from Temple Concord. This week our Torah portion is Pinchas, and it has the story of Pinchas himself, which is a complicated story, and also the story of Tzlophachad, and most particularly Tzlophachad's daughters. Tzlophachad dies, and his daughters are left, and the traditional inheritance laws said that sons got all of the property of the father, not daughters. In this case, Tzlophachad had no sons, and so the daughters asked for the holding. And they went to Moses, and Moses didn't quite know what to do, so Moses appealed to God. And this is sort of similar to going to the courts if you don't have the freedom that you want and appealing. And sometimes going to God isn't that different from going to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court isn't always godly, at least as godly as we might like it to be. But in this case, there actually are some startling similarities. And what happens is not dissimilar from what happened in the Supreme Court just a few weeks ago. Tzlophachad's daughters argue their case, and Moses brings the case to God, and God says, you know what? The claim that the daughters are making is a just one. They're entitled to that inheritance. And if they can hold and maintain the inheritance, then they should have it. And that sounds, at least to this ear, an awful lot like what the court did a few weeks ago when it said that the right to marry isn't a right that belongs only to heterosexuals. That the right got argued all the way up, and at the top, the Supreme Court finally came around and said, look, everybody has this right. This is a human right, not a right that a state or a country can either allow or disallow. And so in both cases, the authority, the high authority, came down by saying people deserve extra rights, more rights than we might think. And in the case of Tzlophachad, these women were allowed the right to own the land and to carry the inheritance. And when they died, if they didn't have a son to pass it on to, that either would go to their daughter or it would go back to tribal holdings. But either way, their rights were enhanced, just as a few weeks ago, the rights of our gay friends and brothers and sisters and cousins were enhanced by saying, look, they can marry too, just as anybody else can, and this is not something that can be legislated. Our tradition is teaching us something. That equality and freedom aren't just words that we banty about, but these are part of our faith. These are part of our tradition. These are concepts that are heart and soul of who we are as Jews and as humans. And so Tzlophachad's daughters remind us of the sanctity of humanity and of the holiness of freedom and of the holiness of the pursuit of freedom. This Shabbat, our services will take place at 6 o'clock here at the temple. Saturday morning, of course, we'll have Torah study at 10 and text study at 9 and services at 11. On Wednesday evening, the second in our series on the new High Holiday Machzor, the High Holiday prayer book, will take place. It'll be Wednesday evening here at the temple at 7 o'clock p.m. Come and you'll learn more about our new High Holiday prayer books, Mishkan HaNefesh. We had our first session this week and it went beautifully, and we look forward to sharing all of these new exciting prayers in the prayer book with you. For now, I wish you a Shabbat of equality and freedom. A Shabbat that says, you know, the rules may look like it says one thing, but if we push a little further, freedom always wins, and equality always wins. And that's the way it should be in our tradition, and that's the way it should be in our country too. Shabbat Shalom for now. Look forward to seeing you at the temple.